subscribe.
I don't think there's such a thing as an underworld, you know what I mean? It's just villains and villains. There's no door you go into and there's another world. When you talk in our language, when you say I was on the pavement in them days, what it meant was security robberies. I mean, it meant bank robberies, anything like that. You got 50 or 60, 100 grand in it, and you're cutting out between each other. Of course, that's very exciting, isn't it? You wouldn't think it is? I know you would. And I heard a couple of bangs, and Cooney was dead. Ambrose had one in his stomach. If you pull a gun on me, you're going to fight a life out of me, right? And you put it back in your pocket. Well, I know what I've got to do to you tomorrow now, don't I? They were both crazy bastards, you know what I mean? It wasn't just one doing all the villain and one not. I mean, you had to fear both of them. So when they come at you, they'd come together. Everything they did together. Working didn't become a way of life. You know what I mean? I was taught from an early age that crime didn't pay, but the hours were good. I suppose if you look at taking of life, right, any life can't be justified, but it was in a war even. But it's only justified if it's a really bad person. I mean, you hate someone enough, you want to kill him, don't you? You know what I mean? Until you've hated, you know what I mean? You never know what hatred is. It's like, in my belief, they say there's a fine line between love and hate. Well, you know, many times I've said, how many girls has a man told he loves? I mean, you can't count, can you? How many times fellas have said that to women? How many times have fellas said to someone, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, I hate that fella, I hate that bloke, I hate this one. Right? Don't hate him. And maybe, now, I said that, and one day I hated someone. He was a copper, fitted me up. And I could have truly put him on the floor, got a knife out and cut his heart out and stuck it in his mouth. That's how much I hated him. Then I realised I never hated anybody else. You know what I mean? Then I thought to myself, well, if that feeling of hatred that I had, then I've never loved anybody either. Because I never had that strength of feeling. So, of course, is it justified in taking the life? I'd have felt justified in taking his life. So when you say good killings and bad killings, it's a good killing if you feel you want to be rid of him. Yeah. I was brought up in originally in Angel Islington, and then just after the war, and then I suppose I was about 14, I think, something, 14, 15. I moved out to Carshalton. You know, then I spent the rest of my time there, but I used to keep going back to North London to see my pals up there. Most of the kids after the war, you're coming from sort of where we came from, North London, Angel. Everyone, when you say petty crime, was all involved in some petty crime. I wouldn't call it petty crime really then. If you was out doing like breaking in and robbing cigarette wholesalers and doing things like that. That's not petty crime, is it? You know what I mean? Shoplifting is really petty crime, which we did when we were school kids. That type of thing, like, you know, we went out shoplifting when we was kids. But you graduate into something else. And it wasn't a question, wasn't on no blame to your parents, it was just the way things were in them days. The people we mixed with. You know. It became a way of life. Working didn't become a way of life. I mean, I was taught from an early age that crime didn't pay, but the hours were good. So I suppose that's what it is. You know, we don't. You just fall in line the way things are. Had a few robberies like on the pavement. Yeah. It meant working on the pavement didn't mean the way a lot of people was, if they don't understand, might take on the pavement as being a mugger or nicking Rolex watches, nothing like that. When you talk in our language, when you say I was on the pavement in them days, what it meant was security robberies. I mean, it meant bank robberies, anything like that. What it meant was wage snatching, really. That's what on the pavement meant. It still does to us now. I remember once a fella told us there was a safe there, it was supposed to be about 3 or 4 foot high. When we got on the place, it was 8 foot high. Well, then you knew, when you blow in the gelignite, you knew that you'd have to put enough in that safe, in that door, as a bomb, put a bomb in it, and blow the door right off, like, you know, that's what we used to do. But, you was right out the way of it, you know what I mean? We never used to get people who knew what they was doing when you was in the gelignite. I mean, people who done that job, it was a profession in itself. I mean, in them days, there was people like, I'll say, old Georgie Madsen, he's dead now. He was about the best man at it. And literally what you would do is he would plug the jelly around a keel, gelignite in there, and then put some plasticine around it, hold it in, to put in his detonator. And the other end of it, you'd have like a plug, take the light bulb out, and plug it in there. And then as soon as you switch the light on, bang, you go. So you'd hide out in the other room, get right out of the way, switch the light down, bang, it was off. And people used to say to me now, like, you know, oh, the noise that you, but you'd muffle it with carpets and or whatever you had in there. And you know, a lot of people, as I was saying to Peter, my old man said to me when I was a kid, like Joe, he said, what do people do when they hear a bang? And I'll ask you that. What do you do when you're laying in bed and you hear bang? What do you do? I'll tell you what you do. You wait for the second bang. And if there's no second bang, you turn over and go to sleep. Any noise you hear, 9 times out of 10, people go, what's that noise? And instead of jumping out of bed, they're waiting for the next noise. And if there's not a second noise, wasn't anything, and go back to sleep. So that's half the time. If you made that one bang, then you stop for a while, don't move. Make for anything sweet, I mean, then you go bang and get your money out of the safe. That's how that used to work with kids. A man who went and robbed somebody of their watch or of their wallet, he was a no good bastard. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't have nothing to do with someone like that. Nothing at all. I mean, we was all proud of what we did. You know what I mean? And we'd all discuss robberies with each other. No one went out like robbing people on the streets. Any plan you go into, you know, whether it was a robbery or what it was, and to see it be successful at the end of the day, of course that'd give you a lift. It's good to see that, you know what I mean? Better than going to work, you know, sweeping the factory floor. Had to be, didn't it? Most exciting when you get caught though. Then excitement wears off very quick. I'd much rather earn a bag of money than getting a cheque for the bank. It's very exciting when you're cutting up the money. Yeah, you got 50 or 60, 100 grand in it, and you're cutting up between each other. Of course, that's very exciting, isn't it? You wouldn't think it is? I know you would. John went to the school down the road from me. We're just in the same area. We knew of each other and we were pals, you know. Well, you had, 6 brothers, didn't you? Billy, Jimmy, and you had John, and you had Ron, Georgie, Roy. And I said they all had the same code. And they were 6, they was like a firm in themselves, wasn't they? Oh, you'd be in more trouble if you come up against them than you would against the twins, yeah, in them days, yeah. Well, this is the area, all round here, where I'd say, where me, Johnny and his brothers would be. This was our plot, really. This is the area that we hang around. More Mayfair. And up there would be Soho side of it. We went there sometimes, not so much though. But we'd be mainly around here. In Mayfair and everything trucks around here. The upper market, as you would say. There's a crowd of us, yeah. It was like a football team. I mean, everybody did their job. But it wasn't different skills. But if one ain't pulling his weight, you leave him out. We didn't run the West End. We run what businesses we had in the West End. I mean, to say you run the West End, there was lots of businesses there. We didn't run them, you know what I mean? Well, all we did, we had our interest in it. The Astor Club, what we were looking after, Bagatelle Club, and there was the Colony. You know, we was getting a living out of them. So obviously we'd be in there most nights of the week. We wouldn't be working on the door. In them days you didn't have bouncers on the doors. You had a uniformed commissioner standing at the door, and if we was looking after that governor's interest, the owner's interest, we'd be inside the club, sitting down at a table, having a drink or a cup of coffee. We'd be standing around the door like with evening suits and bow ties. So that was different then. This is Berkeley Square, and we're coming down to where the Colony Club used to be. That was where George Raft and the Americans had their place. And Dino Cellini had the casino down here. And the Astor Club, I'll show you where that used to be. There was the Astor Club. See where them tables is outside? That was the door. That was the door, rather, to the Astor Club. Well, the Astor Club was drinking in cabaret. And if you read the Krays books, that's where they was the night before they got nicked, yeah. Well, everybody used that, who was anybody. I mean, most of the chaps used that place. The Astor Club. That's where we were, and we used to look after that, me and John. If you got 300 quid out of a club for looking after it, 300 quid in the 60s was a lot of money. A week, wasn't it? By the time you all shared that amongst you, like you all, and then we had a casino, the Olympic Casino. Me and John used to look after that, only because he wanted to put us in there, the owner, and we used to sit in there every night so we get a few quid out of there. It was only because the man wanted us there. If he didn't want us there, we wouldn't be there. We wouldn't have gone. He used to ask us to go there and look after him. When people tried to cheat in there, they'd tell us. I mean, we wasn't allowed to gamble. We wasn't, like, you know. I remember one night I went in there and Talisa Ballas, the actor, I was gambling on the table and I'd gone skin. And Demetrius was in his office. He didn't see me gambling, right? And I was betting in like 50s and 30s, and I'd done a few £100. It was like money in them days, you know. And all of a sudden this geezer walks in behind me, and this is Alice. But now I'm down to like £2 on the box. You know what I mean? And he's leaned across the arm, and he's half drunk, he's got a girl on his arm. And he puts down like a £20 chip in my box. I've got the £2 there. And I know the cards come up, and I had 16. And I said, no card. Then he said, card. And I turned around and I said, no card. He said, card. And I said, look mate, it's my box. So he went, yeah, but I've got £20 on there. I said, I'm going to give a fuck with you, James Bond. You need James Bond film there, you know. And with an argument. And Dimitri came running out of the office. Joe, I ain't losing, man, not to gamble in. He said, look. I said, I'm losing. So he went, okay. And I'm losing about £200 or £300. He's picked up £50. Chips in, yeah, Joe. Don't gamble. But he didn't want to have an argument with his fellow. Fucking nice, I've got £50 and I can't gamble no more, like, you know. In the casinos, if someone knocks them for money, then we'd go out and get the debt in. But we get a commission on their debt as well. We get paid extra. We'd never threaten anybody to get their money in. That was old-fashioned, and it's just for the films. We'd ask people nicely, but the presents would be enough. And we'd say to them, like, how do you intend to pay this debt? But you know, there was big debts. I mean, I remember we got some debt over the Cherry Broccoli, remember him? Made all the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
We went and got a debt off of him. That was for about 40 grand, but he got a bit, he tried to get a bit tough of us. He wouldn't see us, and eventually he did see us, and when he did, he had all his minders around him. But we said, what the fucking hell are they? We don't care about your minders. Then we went a different way with him. We owe this money, you got to pay it. Well, the minders knew us. Do you know what I mean? And they just didn't want to know. He paid. I think he paid the same day. I can remember one night we were sitting in the Colony Club, George Rath's place, right? And we were in the restaurant, and I was sitting there. George Rath was here talking. Ronnie Kray was here. John was here, Johnny, and Reggie. And all of a sudden, George Rath said, "Oh, I was talking about Humphrey Bogart and all that, you know, the old stars, Cagney." And we was having a good laugh. And all of a sudden, someone come in and said, oh, Mr. Raft, Sinatra's just come in the casino. So he got up. He said, I've got to go, boys, because Sinatra's just come in. So we all went, okay, lovely. Understand that. And as he walked away, he got about 3 paces. And he went, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll bring him in to meet you guys. I'm sure he'd like to meet you lot. So he said, I said, yeah, sure, George, that'd be nice. And all of a sudden, Ronnie Krays leaned across the table and grabbed me arm like that, all sensitive, and he's squeezing it. And he went, George, no, we don't want to see him. Oh, smell on. And he went, no, George, leave it. So Ralph went, you sure? And he went, okay. I said, what's the matter then, Ron? He was squeezing around and said, Joe, we don't want to see him, he's a flash bastard. We might end up hitting him on the fucking chin. I went, oh, you say that, you know what I mean? But I wanted to meet Sinatra, you know? Well, I was very friendly with Ollie Reed at one time. Ray Winston's my pal. And, but obviously Ray wasn't around in that time. Bill Murray was. But Ollie Reed, we worked together, me and Ollie, for a long time. And we used to have a gig with him. And we used to go around his house, and it used to be, he had a sauna bath in there. And he used to call this, the Portly Society, and he had a brass plaque on his door called the Portly Society. And there was about 12 of us in this Portly Society, mates, and in the phone up and say, there's a Portly meeting tonight, coming round. So you go round there for a drink. And most of the time, say, if you went with a suit or whatever you had on, after a few drinks, like, it was get in the sauna bath. You mustn't take nothing off. And Stewie could stand the longest. See geezers coming out with suits on, wringing soaking wet, you know. Yeah, he was a case, he was. He was a good man. I liked him a lot, really. I did. If a man carries a gun for the sake of carrying it, and pulls it out and don't use it, he's got to be some fucking idiot, surely. Because if you pull a gun on me, you're going to fight a life out of me, right? And you put it back in your pocket. Well, I know what I've got to do to you tomorrow now, don't I? You know what I mean? All you're doing is telling me what I've got to do. So, any man who pulls that and don't use, you've got to be some sort of idiot. But no, none of my pals used to carry guns. Only time they ever carry guns is when we was going to use it. Not going out for a drink with a shoulder holster on you or something, you know, it's for their books, innit, and films. James Cagney, Humphrey Bogart. Nobody carries guns on it. I had a row with a fella in Notting Hill. A guy called Dookie. What is his name? Dookie. And I shot him in the leg. But he never went to law. And that was just a fight. And there's lots of these things that happen in them days, you know. I went into a club with my pal Jimmy Nash, Johnny Reid. A fight started with Billy Ambrose, Selwyn Cooney. My pal Jimmy had a fight with Cooney. Jimmy gave him a right-hander, broke his nose, and then everybody said, come make the woodwork. And we was only 2 or 3 of us, but there was a lot of them. And I don't know what was going on. There was bottles going everywhere and soda siphons. And I heard a couple of bangs. And Cooney was dead. Ambrose had one in his stomach. Oh, and then I got nicked. Who pulled the gun? I don't know. I asked Jimmy who pulled the gun. He don't know. I don't know. None of us know. So, who pulled it? I don't know. But none of us did. So all I can say is, I've said it before, he must have stepped in the way of a passing bullet. If the 3 of us, if we'd have all got found guilty, obviously we would have gone. And I suppose I'd have been well choked by now, wouldn't I? I'd have been well choked. But yeah, sure. But I can admit, there was, being so young in them days, I suppose, we didn't, I don't know whether we took the seriousness of it. I mean, because I can remember walking around the yard, me and Jimmy Nash, and Jimmy, like, is one of the standest guys you'd ever meet. You know what I mean? My partner was. Well, he's still there. He still is. But he was fucking mad as a martyr. And we're walking around this yard, and there was this, I remember this screw standing there. And every time we come past this screw, Jimmy said to me, keep doing neck exercises, you know, like that. So we're both doing that, you know, like that. And he kept going past, and the screw said, what are you two up to? And Jimmy said, we're doing neck exercises, right? So I said, what? He said, we're trying to make our neck fatter than the red so the rope will go like that. Well, the screw said, you're fucking mad, the 2 of it, like, you know. And Jimmy was in this cell and I was in this one. And Jimmy used to keep sending me the Ring magazine and stuff like that. And he'd make a noose out of a shoelace and put a little noose in the book. And we used to have like, we wasn't allowed to shave ourselves. This con used to come in and shave us, right? So we'd sit down and shave, and when I got up to have a wash at the sink, there's a big mirror along like that. Jimmy be standing there having a wash as well, and I'd look up and Jimmy going like, oh my fuck's sake, shit. I mean, it was a worry, like, you know what I mean? But that's how he was. Looking back on it, you can laugh over it now, you know. And I suppose it's an experience, isn't it? No, it's an experience. I was worried. I was worried when I put me on the pillar. But I remember there was a guy in there, he was waiting to get hung. His name was Gypsy Jim Smith. And he killed a copper out in Plumstead. And copper fell off his car. And he said to me, he said, are you frightened, Joe? And I said, yeah. And he said, always remember, he said, look at that screw, look at him over there. He said, look at your family. He said, everybody's got to die someday. He said, if they sentence us to death, the only difference between us and them would be we would know how and when. He said, they don't. And you know, I started looking at people like Screws even. I'm thinking to myself, well, what do you worry? You're going to die. The only difference with me is I know how and when. You don't. And I started, you know what I mean, repeating that to myself. And it became an answer to the problem that I had. All you talk about is crime. You learn, you get to know a lot more criminals, you get to know a lot more people. I don't so much as you don't learn no more about the crime, but what you do learn is people and what they're doing. You know what I mean? And you do the same thing. I mean, them days we was blowing safe suck with jelly night. Well, I never learnt that at school. But you learn that sort of thing in the nick, you know what I mean? How to pack the safe out, how to muffle it around and plug it in the light. I mean, switch the light on, bang, off it goes. You learn that from other people, word of mouth. Did I get any reputation from that pen club? That murder, that pen club, or respect from that? Well, I don't know if I got the respect. You see, the people, if somebody else respected me for that, you just got to ask them. I mean, the only thing I got any respect for is because I wasn't a grass. But that's not, you don't have entitled to have respect for that. Because if you get nicked with another fella, or you get nicked and the other fella don't, because you don't grass him, it doesn't mean to say you've got to have any respect for it, because you've done what you're entitled to do. It doesn't make you a good guy. If someone gets nicked and he hasn't grassed me up, I don't look at that fella and say, what a lovely fella, he didn't grass me. Well, I wouldn't be with him in the beginning if I thought he was going to grass. So he's only done what he's entitled to do, what he should do. So I don't think anybody should get any respect because they don't grass. I would say grassing is a terrible, despicable, and people like myself and my friends who I know would rather fucking die than be a grass. It's an occupational hazard, isn't it? When you get nicked, you know, when you're at it. I switch off because you've got to forget about your outside world. When you get 14 years, you get a long time. You just got to say, that's it. I'm in another world now. Do you know what I mean? And do your bird. And as I said before, like, some people do it brown nose. I was never a brown nose in the fucking nick, you know what I mean? And the screw said, Joe, I'd say, don't call me Joe. I don't call you fucking Bob, don't call me Joe. And I just get on my bird. I just get on my own, do it on my own, and that's it. And you switch off completely. Like, you've got to say to yourself, well, I'm living another life now, you know what I mean? And once you get in there, and just You've got to forget about going down the pub, ain't you, and having a drink. Forget about your nightlife. There's none of that. No. Just got to get on with it. Go down the gym, start weightlifting, start doing a bit of bag work, start doing. That's it. I've always said you don't get a boxer from Eton College. He doesn't come from any university. Boxers come from normal working class backgrounds. But you still like the sport as well. You didn't just go into boxing because you could look after yourself in a fight. I mean, I went into boxing because I loved the game, really. But at the same time, it was to look after yourself as well. But you know, the fight game is just it's in you. It's either in your blood or it's not. I mean, that's what it is. It's either in your blood or it's not there. And it was in my blood from an early age. I went on to the fairgrounds, travelled with the fairground, boxed with them, Sam McCummins' booth. I was with him for travelling for about 12 months. Then I went professional. And I came back and I had 22 fights. And I lost the first one to a fighter called Paul Gormley. And I lost the last one at Wembley to a fighter called Maxie Beach. And he stopped me. That was the 2 out of 22. I lost. I won the others. Then I went into promoting boxing. I was the first man to put an unlicensed fight on with Roy Shaw. And me and Roy Shaw, we earned a few quid out to go. Roy was solely, he never got involved with like organised people, like, and he was a thief on the pavement. And he went on a blag and got a lot of, he got caught, done a lot of time for it, and he got 18 years. He was a hard man, yes, very respected in them days as well. Yeah, Roy was, yeah. I mean, I can remember the Nicky, he broke in two different prisons, broke the cell door down from inside. That takes some doing, don't it? Roy, before he went to prison, he was a middleweight, about 11 stone. I'm not sure if he was a light middleweight or a full-blown middleweight, but let's say approximately 11 stone. I think he had about a dozen fights, right, but I know that he won them all in the first, all knockouts, first and second round. And he was managed by Mickey Duff, managed him. And I think he fought under the name of Roy West. They wouldn't give him a licence in his real name. Because he'd done some time then. But when he got his 18, coming out then he wouldn't have got a licence and his age was against him. Well, during his stay in prison he put weight on the weights and that, he blew right up big and strong. And he came out and it was a question of, didn't even think, there was no such thing as unlicensed, there was no such thing as unaffiliated. There was just gypsies fighting up at Barnet Fair. Roy went up there one day and wanted to fight any gypsy, bare knuckle. When they found out who he was, they said, there's only one man for you, that's Donny Adams. He's come back and I said, well, let's make a meal of it, put the fight on properly. So we had our own referees, we had our own trainers, seconds, timekeepers. I mean, if you was an ex-fighter, you could referee the fight. Rules. When we started, I would say there was hardly any rules. Right. But as show progressed after and after and after, rules started coming into it. Like more rules. Right? But when we started, there was no rule at all. Yeah, all the only rule was you wore gloves. And you stop boxing when the bell rings. I mean, start when the bell rings. That was all the only rules, really. But as it went on, it progressed into a little bit more professionalism. Like you've got to sell the seats every way you do. And so there was no license to print money now. And Roy had to win. So we only had ideas of having the one fight, and that was with Donny Adams. But when Roy bowled him over, it was all over in a matter of seconds. I mean, I think the first round of Roy threw went over, knocked him stone cold. Or then there was someone else coming along and wants to fight him. Then somebody else come along and wants to fight him. They kept coming along. Well, I knew the Krays from their boxing days, when they was managed by Jack Jordan. And we used to go down the gym in just off Warren Street there in Fitzroy Square. And it was Pop Klein's gym. And then was the two kids then, they just turned professional. I spoke a lot to them then, as kids. And I was trained, I was managed by Jack Burns. We all used the same gymnasium. Being twins made a lot of difference. But they were game fuckers, like, you know what I mean, I can remember when I was a kid, we'd heard about them running around the East End. It was mainly around their own area. I mean, when they went into a pub once with a couple of swords, a load of dockers, just the two of them, sort of back to back, and unloaded people with them, with the swords, you know what I mean? So, and it was the charisma that they set up, always very smart, being identical twins when they was younger, very much alike, could hardly tell the difference. Well, I couldn't tell the difference sometimes. I mean, and it being like, you know, it was like, that was the charisma they had, very smart, and being the point that they were twins, and they both thought the same. They were both crazy bastards, you know what I mean? It wasn't just one doing all the villain and one not. I mean, you had to fear both of them. So when they come at you, they'd come together. Everything they did together. You know, you've seen it, ain't you? Read their books. That was the reputation that came up along with them. And they was dangerous. We never worked for the twins. Everybody thinks that in the twins' time that it was just the Krays dominated everything. Well, they didn't. I mean, lots of people weren't scared of it. We respected the twins, but the people I was with wasn't scared of them. I don't think John and his family was ever frightened of the Krays, never. And they would have matched them any time. And the way we amalgamated, I remember when we had a meeting one day with me and Ronnie Kray. We went and met these Yanks about a deal. And as we was talking, what Ronnie Kray said to me, he said, listen, he said, over here, we'll match your mob any day of the week. In the States, you're the governors. But over here, we're the fucking governors. You know, and they accepted that. If Ronnie never liked you, right, and you walked in the bar, you've done something wrong, right, and you heard about it. And you walked in the bar where they was, and you walked up to Ronnie. Hello, Ron. Ronnie would say, "God, piss off. Go away, Gazza. Don't want to talk to you. Right? Get out of my way." Right? He might even throw you a right hander. No. Now Reggie would be a different. You walk out of Reggie and say, "Hello, Reg." He say, "Hello, Gaz. How you going?" He put his arm around you. "What are you doing? Come over and have a chat." And he might go to the toilet, walk out the toilet with her. When you go to the toilet, he want to stab you. Do you know what I mean? You knew where you stood with Ronnie Kray. With Reggie, you didn't. You know what I mean? Ronnie was so crazy, he would just come out of it there and then. But Reggie was very, I mean, I could hit it, he didn't come out of it, he just deep when he was open. I respected him. As you know, I was best man to Ronnie's wedding in Broadmoor. I used to visit Ronnie once a week when he was away in Broadmoor. I liked him. I think Ronnie was a very fair man. They were both gay, but they wasn't gay, this kind of gay, you know what I mean? They wasn't camp. They were just gay in a respect that they are young fellas. So so it's still a gay and it's still queer. but that was them, like, you know what I mean? I never knew him as Jack there, and all I knew him was Dennis or Matt. That's how we knew him. He wasn't a slag. He was a very, very staunch guy. I remember Ronnie phoning me up not once, 2 or 3 times and saying to me, Joe, will you tell Mac to shut up? What's he done now? He's going around saying he's going to kill us. And when he sees any of our firm in a club, he's walking up and saying like, oh, you work for the Slade twins. And have they been up here lately and all that sort of thing, like, you know what I mean? And been taking out the bum lately and all them nasty things like that to them. Well, that was winding them up, the twins, and Ronnie. I say, alright, I'll talk to him. I say, Mac, why don't you turn it in? You're going round slagging the twins' firm off, telling them all, oh, I just missed the twins last night. I was going to shoot them. I waited outside a boozer for them and they went out the other door. I said, no one day you're going to get it. Oh, I'll go round and assume tomorrow. Mac would go round there and they'd say, yeah, look, man, you know what I'm like. Forget it, you know what I mean? And time and time again in this regard, I said, mate, they're going to fucking do you one day. Sure enough. Done it. Now, I can't blame them, because if someone's going around saying they're going to kill me, or anybody for that, mate, you've got to do them first, ain't you? If someone's going to do you, you've got to get him first. But they should never have done him the way they did it. He died like a fucking rat, and he shouldn't have died that way. They killed him as if they was killing the grass. Everybody in the room jumping on him. That's bullshit. Yeah, he was entitled to more respect than to go out that way. Died like a rat, and he shouldn't have died that way. Because I would never say he was a scum and all that, what I've heard people say on the radio. I mean, he was I had respect for him. But he just got silly, Mac did. And if you're going to run around and start saying you're going to do people, then they're going to get you first. He knew he was going to get it. Maybe it was a death wish he had. But you don't go around doing it. There was Waggy. He was partners with me and John. And he had me and Johnny over for a few grand. I mean, over Billy Hill it was, and he fucked us for a few quid. And Scott's Jackie had just come out, and then Jackie had a row with Waggy over it. Sorry. Next thing we knew, Jack Buggy went missing. Well, I'll tell you a funny story there. His mother, or his auntie, really, lived with his auntie. She rang me up. Went round to see her, and she said, Jack hasn't been home for about 4 days. So I said, she said, well, he wouldn't go out with just a shirt on, not a jacket or nothing, and not come home, and not even phone. So, we heard through gossip that he'd been shot, right? And but that's all we heard, that he'd been shot. Only gossip, we never had no proof. Anyway, one night she was a spiritualist. His Auntie Meg. And one day she's phoned me up, Joe, I want to talk to you, I went round there. And she said, I had a dream last night, Joe. I said, yeah, what was that? She said, he's dead. I said, what did you say? He said, well, I dreamed I saw his hand, his arm sticking out the sea. She said, and I dreamed all I could see was his tattoo on his arm. That's how I knew it was him. She said, it was just sticking out the sea like that. I said, yeah. I said, she said, I know he's dead. And you ain't going to believe it. The next day, they found his body in the sea in Peacehaven. Right? It floated to the top. From the Navy were doing some manoeuvres. And where he'd been chucked at, someone had shot him and threw him over. His body had come up. Right? Floated to the top. And then it released all the change like the manoeuvres had. They took her down the morgue. And his body was decomposed. Right? So to identify him, they pulled the sheet back and showed her his arm. His tattoo. Is that amazing? Yeah, it's just God's truth. The charge I got 14 years for was making an offer to supply drugs. When Richard Ledding was sent to frame me up, he got nicked for a fraud. About is it £4 or £5 million fraud. Right, it didn't come off. So he got arrested for it. They gave him bail. But I didn't know that whilst he was on bail, he was given bail to try and get me. You see? So while he was out on bail, he was like investigating all about me, trying to find out what I'd done and what I hadn't done. And one day he came round here, and I had a film company in Pinewood. And I came after my work, I'd come home and sit down on a chair, and he came round one night about 7 o'clock, and I was sitting having something to eat, and he went, hey Joe, he said, any drugs about? I said, why are you saying that? So he said, well, I've got this fella, he's here, and he's got about £200,000 or £300,000 around him, and he wants to buy a load of drugs. So if he know anybody, and I remember I said, well, that's not my game, so I'm not into that, I'm in the film game at Pinewood, you know that. So he said, yeah, but if you know where to get them. So I said, alright, so I'll see what I can do for you. He said, I'm going up in court soon on this fraud charge, and I need the money. If I get the money, I'll jump the bail, because I'm going to get some time. So instead of saying no to him, I said, oh, I'll see what I can do. It slipped my mind. Right? 10 days later, exactly 10 days, I had a meeting in my office with John Blake and a few others about a film script. I remember, and there was a big boardroom I had there. They've all left the boardroom, and he came in the office, and he went, hello Joe. I said, hello Richard, what are you doing up here? So I was just going out to see you. I said, oh, well, I said, but must have come in, walked into this boardroom, and he sat there right at the end of the table there, and he said, you done anything about what I asked you about? I said, what was that? What are you talking about? He said, you know, about the drugs. I said, drugs? Oh yeah, and it took a bit of time to twig. and like a fucking idiot, instead of saying, oh, I hadn't done nothing, I said, yeah, that's alright, I've seen the fella, and yeah, I said, how much your man want to pay then? Right? It's just an habit of mine. I mean, well, I can see a deal, being a wheeler dealer. And he went, oh, he said he'll pay 38 or 36 or something grand for a kilo. I went, oh, well, how many kilos you want? Oh, he wants 40 a week. I said, oh, 40 a week, it's quite a lot. I said, can you do that, Joe? Oh, I should think so, yeah, I'll see my man, it shouldn't be a problem. So like I say, nicked. It's all the tape. We're done. When he came here and saw me, asked me about it, he'd gone back to his police friends and said, yes, he's going to get me some drugs. They come along and bugged door my office, right? Sent him in, but in court he said he never knew the office was bugged. Not bullshit, you know what I mean? Because if he'd have admitted the office was bugged up, it would have been like an agent provocateur. So he said, oh, I never knew the office was bugged. So he walked in there. Once he's asked me that question, they've got it on tape. And I got arrested for making an offer to supply drugs. And when they said 40 kilos a week, of course it made it like a £1 million deal, didn't it? 2 or 3 million. And they said 14 years. Just for saying that. The same night, I was laying in my cell, I'm going to be 14 years, and I turned the radio on the news. Colesy, Superintendent Coles, he was talking to the news people, and he said, yes, we're celebrating now, round a drink, and we've got Mr. Pyle, and the streets of London will be a safer place. As if I was running around with an axe or something like that. I was some lunatic. Why am I double A? Now, the book says this, right? That if you have the means and the associates to escape, and if you do escape, you will be a danger to the public. Category AA means you're in a unit, right? In the unit is normally is about 20 of you, right? 15 to 20 of you. You don't leave that unit. Everything you do is in that small unit. You have a small gymnasium in there. You have your own exercise yard. Follow? And you've got your own wall around the unit. So it's like a prison within a prison. Everything you do is done by a book. You've got a book with your photograph in it and your name. And if you go from one room to another room, to another officer, he takes you with your book. Then he signs it as he hands the book over to that one. Do you know what I mean? Everywhere you go, that book goes with you. That's what on the book means. So you just go by a book. And you're searched so thoroughly before a visit, after a visit, stripped right off. And stand there bollock naked. And you're searched, put your clothes back on, they go through your clothes. It's just that when you go to court, you've got like helicopter above you, escorting you. And you've got like about 2 cars up front, 2 at the back. Sirens going all the way there. Straight to the court. And they must come back, always come back a different way when they leave the court. So that we don't know the way they're coming back. Well, I was in the unit for about 18 months, 2 years, altogether. Then on the first trial, they said the jury was crooked. They said that I'd got at the jury, or some of my friends had, which I knew nothing about. So they got a retrial. And on the retrial, it's going to be 14. Then I appealed, and then I won the appeal. But the police jumped up and the appeal court slung it out. But the police said, no, we want a retrial. So they gave me a retrial. Then on the third trial, I got found guilty again. But this time, he gave me 9 years instead of 14. So that meant I was nearly out. So I come out then. I don't think there's such a thing as an underworld, you know what I mean? It's just villains and villains. There's no there's no door you go into and there's another world. I suppose you could call it the underworld, but that's more or less for journalists, isn't it? But you would never hear the fellas talking about, oh, we should remember the underworld. you wouldn't hear that, would you? So underworld really is a journalistic word. That's what it is. There's no such thing as underworld really, only to the outsider. If I did anything in my life which I thought was wrong, I wouldn't do it. Right? I'll only do in my life what I think is right. And if I think it's right, then I'll do it. But if I think it's wrong here, I won't do it. I'll say, no, fuck that, it's wrong, don't do it. But if I think what I'm doing is right, I couldn't care less what any of you people think. Right? I'd only be concerned with what my close friends think, or my family. But I will only do it if I think it's right, not if it's wrong. So, if I've gone through my life, as I said to you, I've gone with the grain in the wood. I don't go against that grain. So, why should I have any remorse?
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Krays Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section. I hope we see you there soon.
Leave a like and subscribe.